I stood on my own lawn with my hands raised, like I was some kind of criminal. Karen was screaming, "Thief! Liar! Stay away from my house!" The whole neighborhood watched. They believed her. She posted flyers, sent emails. My own mother called me crying. My job asked questions. Packages disappeared. My name was dragged through the dirt, and the worst part? I had no idea why. But while Karen played the perfect puppet master, she forgot one thing. I used to install surveillance systems, and she didn't know I still had access to the HOA's hidden cameras. It started with a flyer, folded into the handle of my front door like a warning. No envelope, no return address, just a bright red border around a single word in bold black letters. Thief. I thought it was some kind of joke. I looked around. The street was still, quiet. A dog barked 3 houses down. Nothing seemed off until I opened it. There was my name, my address, and a message that read, "This individual has been caught stealing packages. Alert your family. Report all suspicious behavior to the HOA." I stood there, frozen. My coffee was still steaming in my hand. The paper shook, not from the wind, but from something deeper. Shame? Rage? I wasn't sure yet. I knocked on Karen's door that afternoon. I didn't yell. I didn't threaten. I just asked, "Did you write this?" Her eyes didn't even blink. "We've received multiple complaints," she said, arms crossed like a prosecutor. "There's even a video. You should be more concerned about the damage you've done." Then she closed the door on my face. No one had asked me anything. No one had shown me a video. I hadn't done a damn thing. But the damage was already rolling in. Mrs. Langston, the elderly woman next door who used to bake me banana bread, pulled her granddaughter off the sidewalk when I came outside. Her eyes said it all. Mr. Fenton, who always waved from his garage, now turned his back before I could even raise a hand. The neighborhood group chat went silent. I'd post something, "Anyone else lose power last night?" and no one would answer. Then I saw my own name show up in a new thread. "Security concerns on Ashwood Drive." I wanted to believe it would blow over, that people would see through it. But people love easy villains. They love pointing fingers. It makes them feel safe. And Karen, she fed off that fear like it was oxygen. By the end of the week, there were flyers in every mailbox. The packages didn't stop disappearing. But the rumors made sure the blame didn't either. I filed a police report. They shrugged. If the HOA has footage, it's private property. We can't subpoena anything without probable cause. I wasn't just losing trust, I was losing ground. It's a strange thing, watching the people you used to wave at cross the street when they see you, like you're radioactive. I hadn't changed. But their version of me had, and Karen made sure it stuck. I started avoiding my front porch. I got anxious every time a delivery truck stopped near my house. I'd check the porch 10, 20 times a day. Not for packages, just for signs, new flyers. A knock, another lie, another blow. I was being erased in plain sight, and no one even cared to ask if any of it was true. It took exactly 9 days for the rumor to crawl out of the neighborhood and infect the rest of my life. It started with an email from HR. The subject line read, "Private matter." I clicked it, already uneasy. The message was polite, vague, too vague. "We've received an anonymous tip regarding potential misconduct outside of work. While we know personal matters are often separate from professional ones, we'd like to schedule a brief meeting to discuss." That was it. No details, no proof, just a shadow following me into my career. By the time I logged off, my stomach was in knots. I had always kept my head down at work, never asked for favors, never stirred drama. I delivered. I showed up. I kept to myself. But now, thanks to a few sheets of paper and a bored suburban tyrant with a clipboard, I had a question mark over my name. My phone started buzzing with texts that weren't texts. "Hey man, everything okay? Just heard some weird stuff, wanted to check in. You good?" They didn't say it, but I could read between the lines. They'd seen something. Someone had sent them the flyer, or maybe Karen had gone digital. It wouldn't have surprised me. My mother called that night. She didn't start with hello. She started with, "What's going on?" Her voice was high and brittle, the way it gets when she's scared. "Did you really steal something? People are calling me. Your aunt said there's something about you on Facebook." It felt like acid in my throat. "No, Mom," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "I didn't steal anything. It's some kind of twisted HOA thing." She sighed, but not in relief. "You need to fix this. People are talking." That was the moment it hit me. I wasn't just fighting for my name anymore. I was fighting for my entire life, my job, my family, my dignity, and I was losing. Fast. Even the delivery drivers caught on. I noticed how packages that used to land gently on my doorstep were now tossed like trash. One guy didn't even come up the walkway, just dropped a box at the curb and drove off like he couldn't get away fast enough. And the worst part, I got it. I understood the look in their eyes, the silent judgment, the calculation. What if he really is dangerous? I had become toxic, radioactive. No one would say it to my face. They didn't have to. I could feel it in the pauses, in the way neighbors no longer made eye contact, in the way my own boss said, "We'll keep an eye on things," like he was already halfway convinced. All of this, because of Amazon boxes. I couldn't sleep. I barely ate. I kept the blinds shut and the lights low. I was starting to disappear, one rumor at a time. And still, I had no idea what Karen was planning next. She timed it perfectly, like a spider waiting for the web to tighten. Just when I thought things couldn't get worse, she pulled out the final thread. "We have video evidence." I heard it through the HOA newsletter first. Buried beneath a cheerful reminder about lawn maintenance and a new recycling schedule was a short paragraph. "Due to a recent series of package thefts, footage has been reviewed. The HOA board is working with authorities. Suspect identified. Further action pending. No name, no details, just enough to stoke the fire." At the next HOA meeting, I showed up. Sat in the back, hoodie pulled low. I didn't speak. At first, I just listened. Karen stood at the front like a self-appointed sheriff, clicking through a PowerPoint about neighborhood safety and increased community vigilance. Then she said it. "We have footage confirming suspicious behavior tied to a specific resident." The room stiffened. I looked around. No one asked who. No one needed to. Their eyes had already found me. I raised my hand. "Can we see the footage?" Karen didn't flinch. "Due to privacy concerns, we're not releasing it." I stood up. "You're accusing me without showing any proof?" She turned to me with that rehearsed calmness that only someone drunk on power can pull off. "We're not naming anyone, but if the shoe fits..." Gasps. Whispers. Someone muttered, "It's him." Another, "I knew it." I walked out before I could scream. Later, I emailed the board, asked to speak with someone, anyone, privately. No response. I sent a formal request under HOA guidelines to review the footage. Rejected. They claimed I wasn't a board-eligible party, whatever that meant. The next day, a new sign appeared at the entrance of the neighborhood. "Smile, you're on camera." Karen's twisted version of justice. Surveillance without access. Judgment without defense. I even tried going to the police again. Same answer. "If they say they have footage, it's private property. We can't touch it unless they hand it over voluntarily." Which they wouldn't. Why would they? The lie was too useful, too clean. I was a man trapped in a courtroom where the jury had already voted guilty and the judge was also the accuser. I started recording myself on my own front lawn, just to feel like I had something. I bought a body cam and wore it while mowing the grass. My neighbors watched from their windows like I was unstable. Maybe I was. Karen had turned suspicion into spectacle, and she knew exactly what she was doing. This wasn't incompetence. This wasn't misunderstanding. It was strategy. She didn't just want to accuse me. She wanted to break me. It was a Wednesday, mid-morning. I'd just come back from the store. Milk, eggs, cat food, like a normal person living a normal life. I parked in the driveway, stepped out, and there she was. Karen. Arms crossed, standing on the edge of her perfectly trimmed lawn, like she'd been waiting for me. Her mouth was already open. "Another one's gone!" she called out, loud enough for anyone within 50 feet to hear. This time it was the Thompsons. You just can't help yourself, can you?" I didn't respond. I didn't even look at her. I just opened my trunk, grabbed the groceries, and headed toward the house. "Gonna pretend you didn't hear me?" she snapped. "I've already notified the board. Don't act surprised when the fine shows up." The fine? It didn't even matter anymore whether I stole something or not. They'd decided I had, and now they were making it official. That was the game. It wasn't about truth. It was about pressure, isolation, crushing you until you either fought back and looked unstable or broke down. I didn't make it to the door. I dropped the bag on the steps. Eggs cracked against the concrete. I sat down next to them, and I cried. Not the kind of crying where you wipe your eyes and push through. The kind where your whole body folds in on itself, where breath comes in short bursts and you can't explain why it hurts so much because the pain is layered. It wasn't just about the packages. It was about being watched, judged, exiled, all for something I didn't do. My neighbor's car drove by slowly. I didn't look up, but I felt it, eyes on me. I was a show now. The sad man in the driveway, the suspected thief, the weirdo who cried next to his spilled milk like a child. I hated how much I cared. I hated how powerless I felt. I hated that no one had stood up for me. Not once. Not even the people I used to help shovel snow for. Not even the guy whose dog I'd saved when it ran into the street. My phone buzzed. A notification from the neighborhood app. Package stolen from porch on Willow Lane. Same MO residents urged to be vigilant. There were no names. There never were. But the message was clear. It was always me. And the worst part, Karen wasn't just accusing me. She was convincing them. One flyer at a time, one pointed finger, one smirk. I sat there until the sun started to go down, surrounded by broken eggs and silence, wondering how the hell I was supposed to live in a place that had already decided I didn't belong. I wasn't looking for answers anymore. I'd stopped expecting justice. All I wanted was a quiet walk to the mailbox without feeling like I had blood on my hands. That day was hot, one of those dry, angry afternoons where even the pavement seemed to hiss. I walked down the sidewalk with my head low, hoodie up, even though it was pushing 90 degrees. It was easier that way. Less eye contact, less pretending things were okay. The mail truck was already there. The new guy, thin and jittery, was sliding envelopes into boxes with the grace of a man who hated confrontation. I nodded, trying not to look pathetic. He gave a half smile and handed me a package. "Thought you stopped getting deliveries," he muttered. I paused. "Excuse me." He winced like he hadn't meant to say it out loud. "Sorry, I heard some stuff about your address. Some of the guys at the depot say your place has been flagged." "Flagged?" "Yeah, like unofficially. We're told to be extra careful. I mean, with the cameras and all, you'd think this stuff would be sorted by now." I froze. "What cameras?" He blinked. "You don't know?" I said nothing. I didn't move, just stared. He shifted on his feet. I thought everyone knew. The HOA's got cameras. Couple of them. Hidden in the planters. One near the gate, another by that weird mailbox cluster with the dead flowers. They're not exactly city grade, but, you know, enough to catch a porch pirate or two. I swallowed hard. "You've seen the footage?" No, that's board only. Tight access. My supervisor said the president, Karen, right? She's the one who reviews it. Said she mentioned you once, actually, something about behavior patterns. I didn't even say goodbye. I just turned and walked home, the package cradled like glass. Behavior patterns. They had footage, real footage. Not imaginary evidence, not vague accusations, but actual time-stamped digital recordings of everything. And Karen had access, which meant one of two things. Either she knew I didn't do it and was lying anyway, or worse, the footage showed something she didn't want anyone else to see. I stood on my front steps for a long time, staring down the street. For the first time in weeks, I didn't feel shame or fear or humiliation. I felt something else. Certainty. There were eyes in this neighborhood, Cameras hidden behind shrubs built into HOA property, watching everything. And while Karen weaponized gossip, I was going to find the truth. Because now I knew where to look. And I wasn't about to ask permission. The HOA never really thanked me for the wiring job. It was 5 years ago, before Karen took over, when the board asked for volunteers to help update the clubhouse security system. They were too cheap to hire real techs, and I'd worked IT before switching careers. I offered to do it for free, just to be neighborly. Back then, I still believed in that kind of thing. They gave me a clipboard, a key to the maintenance shed, and a box of low-budget gear. I ran cable through ceiling tiles, installed motion sensors, and tucked away a basic server in a utility closet near the pool room. It was old, loud, and not worth stealing, but it worked. I even set up remote access with a temporary password. Something dumb, like the neighborhood name plus a number, Ashwood Drive 01. It came back to me while I was brushing my teeth, out of nowhere, like a ghost I hadn't buried right. I froze mid-rinse, toothpaste dripping down my chin. The server. I knew where it was. And if they hadn't changed anything, which, knowing the HOA was entirely possible, I might still be able to get in. I spent the next 3 days pretending to be fine, watering my lawn, waving at nobody. But inside, I was building a plan. I found the original access point diagram in my old files, printed it, highlighted routes, studied patrol patterns like I was planning a prison break. The clubhouse was locked most of the time except for Tuesday nights, bingo night. The doors stayed open late, the staff was minimal, and the cameras inside the building were old, disconnected junk for show. I waited. Tuesday came. I dressed plain, head down, walked in like I belonged. People were laughing, shouting numbers over coffee and cheap snacks. I slipped down the back hallway, past the mop closet and out-of-order vending machine, and opened the maintenance room. There it was, exactly where I'd left it. A metal cabinet tucked into the corner, humming with heat and dust. I reached behind it, found the hardwired keyboard and monitor I remembered hiding, and powered it on. It was slow, ancient, but it booted. The login screen blinked. Username, admin. Password, Ashwood Drive 01. I held my breath and hit enter. The screen flickered. Then it opened. There they were, rows of footage, dates and timestamps, camera angles I recognized instantly, front gates, sidewalks, porches, and more importantly, the ability to search. I felt my heartbeat in my throat. My hands were shaking. I wasn't sure what I'd find, but whatever was in here, whatever they'd been hiding, it was time to bring it into the light. Because if Karen built her lies with smoke, I was about to burn the whole damn thing down. The first thing I searched for was my own address. There were 12 entries in the past 3 weeks alone, each tagged with the timestamp of a missing package. I opened the most recent one, half expecting a blank screen, some glitchy nonsense, or worst-case actual footage of myself sleepwalking into crime. But what I saw stopped me cold. A man, tall, balding, wearing a blue HOA volunteer vest and cheap sunglasses. I recognized him immediately, Tom Grissom, the board's treasurer, Karen's right hand, the guy who once lectured me for leaving my trash bin out overnight. There he was on the footage, casually walking up to my porch at 3:43 p.m., looking around once, then tucking a small Amazon box under his vest and walking off like it was nothing. I watched it 5 times. Then I opened another clip. Same guy, different day. This time at the Thompsons' house. Same MO grab, conceal, walk. Clip after clip told the same story. It wasn't even subtle. He didn't wear gloves, didn't try to hide his face. Because he didn't need to. The board owned the cameras. Karen controlled access. And no one, not one person, ever expected the thief to be one of them. Then I found the worst one. It was grainier, older, nearly a month back. Tom again, this time on my property. He swipes a box, starts to walk away. And Karen appears in the frame. She's walking her little dog, sunglasses on, HOA armband flapping in the wind. She sees him. She stops. Tom freezes, like maybe he wasn't supposed to be seen. Karen looks around. checks for cars, then leans in, whispers something. Tom nods, and then they both walk away, together. There was no reaction, no confrontation, no call to police, no report filed. Just silence. The next day, the flyers started showing up. They knew. Karen didn't just cover for him, she helped manufacture a lie to protect him. And when they needed a scapegoat, they picked me. The loner, the quiet guy, the one who wouldn't fight back. I sat there in that closet, surrounded by wires and dust, gripping the edge of the desk like it might keep me from falling apart. My mouth was dry, my vision tunneled. I felt betrayed, humiliated, sick, but more than anything, I felt clarity. This was never about packages. It was about control. Karen didn't want safety. She wanted leverage, a narrative, a public enemy. And I had just found the match to burn her whole story down. I copied the files to a USB. Every clip, every timestamp. I backed them up twice, labeled them like a case file. Because I wasn't just going to defend myself, I was going to destroy her. I didn't sleep that night. My body was wired, pulsing with adrenaline and something sharper. Revenge, maybe, but not the blind kind. The cold, meticulous kind. The kind that waits, breathes, calculates. I spent hours clipping the footage, every instance, every angle. I organized the files like evidence for a trial. I used editing software to add timestamps, labels, a red arrow pointing to Tom in his HOA vest as he tucked stolen boxes under his arm. I made sure Karen was clearly visible in the one clip that mattered most, the one where she saw it happen and said nothing, the one where she chose silence. I didn't add music, didn't add commentary. The truth didn't need dramatics. It was damning on its own. At 6:14 a.m., I made a burner email. No name, no signature, just a subject line. Your treasurer is a thief. Your president knew. I attached the footage, then sent it to the HOA board one by one, all 5 members, then to every neighbor on the community email list, the same one Karen used to send out flyers and monthly warnings about grass height. By 7 o'clock, my phone was already buzzing. Unfamiliar numbers, unknown senders, missed calls. I turned it off. By 8:30, someone posted the footage on the neighborhood app. The post title, HOA Exposed. You have to watch this. By 9 o'clock, someone else had uploaded it to YouTube. A clip with no voiceover, no title card. Just a raw screen recording titled, Caught on HOA Security Camera. The Real Package Thief. I knew it would go local, but I didn't expect the wildfire. At 10:15, I got a call from Channel 7 News, then Channel 4. I ignored them all. By lunch, Karen's face was plastered across Nextdoor and Facebook, frozen mid-step, looking at Tom like she'd just caught him sneaking a candy bar. But it wasn't candy. It was a felony. People started showing up to her house, not to protest, just to watch. They parked at the end of the cul-de-sac and whispered. Some took pictures. One guy live-streamed himself doing laps around the block. It felt like a zoo. Karen didn't come outside. She kept the blinds shut, the porch dark, but her silence said everything. No denial, no press release, just a shrinking presence. The power she used to walk around with, that smug, sharp confidence, it evaporated. And me? I didn't gloat. I didn't post a single comment. I let the footage speak. Let the whispers multiply. Let the people who once crossed the street to avoid me now scroll through video after video, watching the truth unfold in full HD. For the first time in weeks, I felt something close to peace. And I knew this wasn't over. Not yet. She waited 3 full days before crawling out from under whatever rock she'd been hiding beneath. Her car reappeared first. White Lexus, spotless as ever, pulling into her driveway like nothing had happened. But the moment the door opened and she stepped out, reality hit her like a wall. A group of neighbors were walking by with their dogs. They stopped. watched her. One of them, a guy in a baseball cap, said loud enough for everyone to hear, "Smile, Karen, you're on camera." Laughter, real, raw, cutting, not a chuckle, not polite. It was the sound of her kingdom collapsing. She turned and rushed inside without saying a word. The comments on the neighborhood app had turned venomous. Guess we know who the real criminal was. Can we get a new HOA president who doesn't conspire with porch pirates? One woman posted a meme of Karen holding a clipboard labeled "Lies" with a caption, "HOA equals harass our Americans." I couldn't believe how quickly it shifted. The same people who used to silently judge me were now sharpening their knives for her. Not because they suddenly liked me, but because Karen had embarrassed them. She'd made them complicit in a lie, and now they wanted blood. The next HOA meeting was the final nail. Karen walked in wearing a blazer like she was going to court, but she looked smaller, more fragile, like someone who'd aged 10 years in 3 days. The moment she reached the podium, someone from the back called out, "Is Tom coming? Or is he too busy looting mailboxes?" That broke the room. People laughed, clapped, even cheered. Karen tried to speak over them. "Let's keep this civil," but it was too late. The illusion of control was shattered. She flipped through her papers like they might save her, stammered through some half-apology about miscommunication and procedural breakdowns. Every word made it worse. She couldn't say the one thing everyone was waiting for. I lied. And then it happened. Someone started filming. The phone camera rose above the heads in the room, and Karen saw it. Her face twisted, not in fear, but in rage. "Put that down! You can't film this! This is a private meeting!" But it wasn't. The HOA meetings were public, always had been. "You sure liked cameras last week," someone muttered. The clip hit the internet within the hour. Karen, red-faced, screaming at a phone, flailing papers, losing it, live. It got tens of thousands of views. By that night, someone had remixed it with the song "Circus." The title read, "Karen's Greatest Hit, the HOA Meltdown." She tried to issue a statement the next day. No one read it. The board didn't back her. Her allies had gone silent. Even Tom was nowhere to be found. She'd built her little empire on fear and control. And now, all she had left was silence and screenshots. Lots and lots of screenshots. It didn't take long for the HOA's lawyer to come crawling. I got the first email 2 days after Karen's meltdown went viral. It was polite, professional, like someone trying to casually sweep a body under a rug. "We understand there may have been a misunderstanding," it began. "In the spirit of community and resolution, the board would like to offer you a goodwill settlement for any distress caused." Distress. Like I'd spilled coffee on my shirt. Like they hadn't dragged my name through the dirt, isolated me, humiliated me, and let Karen weaponize an entire neighborhood against me. They offered $5,000. Hush money, thinly veiled as a gesture of goodwill. I didn't respond. 3 days later, it was 10 grand. A signed NDA attached this time. "For the sake of neighborhood harmony," it said. I laughed, out loud, sitting at my kitchen table, the same one I'd nearly flipped weeks ago in frustration. Now suddenly the command center for a personal war. I was finally winning. They thought I'd take the money and disappear, that I'd want to bury this. But I wanted something else. I wanted the board on record. I wanted minutes and statements and public votes. I wanted their apology, not in a side email, but in front of the same faces that watched me unravel on my own lawn. I wanted Karen to sit in a folding chair under fluorescent lights while someone read the list of her failures out loud, slowly, while the room stayed silent. So, I lawyered up, found a civil rights attorney who didn't just believe me. He was furious on my behalf. Said we had a strong case for defamation, emotional distress, and abuse of authority. He practically salivated at the footage. We sent them a letter of intent to sue. The HOA scrambled. Another email came, this time from the vice president of the board himself. "We don't believe legal action is in anyone's best interest. Let's handle this quietly." They bumped the offer again, 25 grand. I didn't even blink. Because it wasn't about the money anymore. Not really. It was about watching the people who smiled to my face while stabbing me in the back finally squirm in the seats they used to own. They scheduled an emergency meeting to discuss resolution options. That was their wording. What it really meant was, we're scared. Good. Let them be scared. Let them feel cornered and powerless. Let them taste even a sliver of what they put me through. I didn't want harmony. I wanted justice, and I wasn't walking away until I had it. The day the verdict came down, I didn't celebrate. No champagne, no victory lap, no smug grin in the mirror. Just a quiet exhale in the courthouse parking lot while the sun ducked behind a cloud and the world kept spinning like nothing had happened. But something had. The judge called it a deliberate campaign of defamation and coordinated negligence. Tom was arrested on 3 counts of theft and 1 count of conspiracy. Karen was removed from her position, unanimously. No one even spoke in her defense. She didn't show up. Just sent in a resignation letter typed in 12-point font, like a final whisper that didn't deserve to be heard. The HOA was forced to issue a formal apology. Public, signed, mailed to every resident. We regret the actions taken by the board, and we acknowledge the harm caused to Mr. Alsoo. No amount of stationery could fix what they'd done, but the words mattered, because this time they were forced to say them. The settlement came after that. It wasn't enormous, but it was loud enough to cover legal fees, lost wages, and the therapy I'd quietly started when my world turned on me. Enough to remind them that what they did had weight. That truth has a price when you bury it for long enough. And then came the apologies, some face-to-face. Some slipped into my mailbox, scrawled on note cards with shaky handwriting and words like sorry and embarrassed and I should have known better. A few brought baked goods, a weak peace offering. I accepted them. Some. Others, I left sitting on my porch until the sun melted the frosting into something unrecognizable. Because forgiveness wasn't the goal. I wasn't the same person anymore. I used to wave at everyone, used to walk the neighborhood just to feel the rhythm of the street, the comfort of familiarity. Now I walk with headphones in and my eyes straight ahead. I still nod, still hold the door for people. But I don't offer anymore. I don't give the benefit of the doubt so freely. That part of me didn't survive. And maybe that's okay, because I got my life back. My job reinstated me with full clearance and back pay. My mother stopped crying on the phone. Even my cats seemed to sleep easier. But most importantly, I got my name back, and I earned something I didn't know I needed. The knowledge that when the world turns on you, when the people you trust go silent, when justice feels like a fantasy, you can still fight. And sometimes, if you're willing to burn the lie down to the foundation, you win. The moving truck came at dawn. No announcement, no farewell barbecue, no neighbors lining up to say goodbye. Just cardboard boxes shuffled out the back door of Karen's pristine house, one after another, like bad memories being carried out in pieces. She didn't wave, didn't make eye contact. She wore big sunglasses and kept her head down just like I used to. Funny how fast the roles reversed. One of the neighbors whispered she was moving to Florida to be closer to family. But we all knew the truth. She was fleeing the wreckage she created. By noon, the house was empty. A for sale sign had been out front for weeks, its corners curling from rain. No open houses, no flashy ads, just a quiet listing, priced below market, desperate to be done with it. She didn't even wait for the papers to close. She was gone before sunset. And me? I stayed. I repainted the front door, installed a new mailbox, ordered a high-end surveillance system, and mounted the cameras myself. 2 out front, 1 in the backyard, and 1 above the porch. Not hidden, visible, purposeful. The red light blinks at night. Now, when I walk the neighborhood, I don't keep my head down. I don't wear hoodies in the heat or avoid the sidewalk. I don't flinch when someone stares, because now they wonder what I know. Now they lower their voices when I pass, Now I see them glance up at the corner of my house where the camera sits like a quiet sentinel, watching, recording, remembering. No more whispers behind my back, no more flyers, no more accusations dressed as policy. They still try to make small talk sometimes, ask how I'm doing, compliment the lawn, drop phrases like crazy times and so glad that's over. I nod, smile politely, then let the silence do the rest. I've become the thing they can't quite explain, the neighbor they all know but no longer understand, the man who survived their worst and came back with eyes everywhere. And I like it that way. There's a power in silence, in not needing to raise your voice, in knowing the truth and letting it hang in the air like a storm cloud everyone's afraid to touch. Karen left this place smaller than she entered it, but I stayed, rooted, still. Not because I had to, but because I wanted them to remember what they did. Every time they drove past my house, every time they saw that red blinking light, not to punish them, but to make sure they never forget. I'm not watching because I'm afraid. I'm watching because now they are.